This is just my experience and my situation. Always use your critical thinking when it comes to situations. So I was driving home from work and I picked up a hitchhiker. It was a really, really hot day. Thought to myself, this doesn't feel right. Like it feels like he needs help. And he was really grateful for the ride. I let him play his music on the radio. So we were just, most of the time, just sitting in silence. Well, not silence, but we weren't talking to one another very much. Maybe about another hour till we're back. I started noticing some things. The first thing that I noticed was that he was completely out of water. So he could really use some help. I came from work, so I usually bring a couple bottles of water with me. I ended up giving him 3 of my bottles of water. And later on down the road, I jokingly, but slightly out of fear, was thinking to myself, he seems normal, but what if he's a crazy hitchhiker? What if I'm gonna have what if I judge this situation poorly and something bad happens? He starts laughing, and I look over at him, and he's like,
ha 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 ha, I wouldn't do that.
And he touches my hand and he says,
I wouldn't do that.
And I was like,
You what?
He's like,
I wouldn't hurt you.
And I was like, oh, okay, thank you. And I didn't tell him, man, I didn't say that out loud. So that was the first sign that, this person's a little different. Still very polite. And further on down the road, I was thinking to myself, oops, I forgot to eat all day. So when I'm working, I just want to work until it's done, and then I can have fun. No, I'm just kidding. I just wanted to rhyme. Work until I'm done and then have food. I'm thinking to myself, God, I'm really exhausted. I'm like physically depleted right now. And he says to me,
did you eat all day? Are you hungry? I'm kind of hungry.
And about maybe 30 or 40 minutes into this car ride, he finally introduces himself, but immediately after I have the thought, I wonder what this guy's story is. But I wasn't sure how to start asking him without sounding like I'm prying or anything. He looks over at me and starts telling me, where he grew up, where he was born, why he's hitchhiking. That one could have just been a coincidence. However, it happened right after I had that thought, so I took note of that. I've had experiences with my oldest child being able to either hear my thoughts as if I'm speaking them out loud in my own voice, or she hears my thoughts in her mind as her own thoughts. My best example of this is one day I was doing the dishes and I thought I could really use your help with these dishes, and I hear her on the couch go, oh, fine, and she gets up and she comes over and she starts helping me, and I'm like, why are you helping me with dishes? I didn't even ask you. She was like,
what are you talking about? You just asked me. You just said, can you help me with these dishes?
And I was, I didn't say it out loud, but I thought it. That was the first time that we realized sometimes she can hear what I'm thinking. Other times it'll be something as simple as I'm feeling hungry for something in particular. She will suddenly be like,
I'm really hungry for this,
and says what I was thinking about eating. One of my favorite examples to share with people, we used to do rock, paper, scissors to decide who would go first. And we decided not to do that because we kept tying, which I find absolutely hilarious. And sometimes we still do it, but just to be funny. Now, I don't want to tell you what to think. We already know from science that thoughts are electrical signals that are measurable. Science has already had people and monkeys playing Pong with their thoughts being measured on a computer. Dispenza himself has already proven in his studies that thoughts are measurable electrical signals and that emotions are creating magnetic fields around us that we can share with others. And we know through multiple studies and different spiritual leaders that mindfulness or certain meditations reduce mental noise, which then in turn increases our intuition. So that helps us understand that reality is more interconnected than traditional materialism suggests. And there's a plane going by. Whether you agree with Dispenza or not, his work raises very interesting questions. If thoughts and emotions generate measurable energy, could consciousness be interacting with others and our physical bodies in ways that science hasn't fully explained yet? Maybe mirror neurons could help explain why humans naturally pick up on one another. Maybe, the placebo effect is pretty real and demonstrates the power of our beliefs, which produce measurable outcomes. Studies on intuition already show that people often respond before consciously recognizing information. So, true skepticism questions, then explores curiously, not dismissing something before inquiry. When we're locked in familiar thinking patterns, we tend to reject anything that challenges our comfortable, safe space of familiar thinking patterns and emotions. So something to think about is that possibly we're not as separate as we all think we are. Maybe we're expressions of a larger consciousness. Maybe, intuition grows stronger when the mind is allowed to be free, to take information and be mindful, be aware. For that reason, I think maybe that's why children sometimes seem naturally intuitive, because they haven't learned to dismiss those experiences. I personally think that the energy of love and presence, awareness, can tune us into information normally overlooked. Maybe it's consciousness, maybe it's coincidence, maybe subconscious communication, or maybe consciousness is connected in ways we're only beginning to understand. So what do you think? With all that said, thanks for listening. Thanks for staying curious. Bye-bye.